I just want to hear the playback. See how it says, oh, we're live. Alrighty. There we go. I want to hear what the playback sounds like. And then once we're done, then I will get into the huge leak. This is the first time I've been live in a while. Hey, that sounds buttery. That sounds really buttery. I will turn up the mic just a little bit. All right, my Pungyos, the big reveal. We have an iPhone 15 Pro Max case in my hand. This is the big reveal, the big leak, I guess. With that said, I'm not going to let you guys know where I got this from or how I did, because this is just a prototype. This is just a leak, right? This is not confirmed. And so to protect my assets, I am not going to put myself at risk like that. So this is probably the best educated guess out there. There's actually been some really cool leaks out on X or Twitter to basically corroborate a lot of the likeness of this phone, which is really exciting. So we're going to go ahead here and we're going to review it. I also have a couple of other cases here that you can barely see in frame that are for the iPhone 15 Pro. And then we're going to be trying to fit a 14 Pro Max and a 14 Pro inside them to see what the dimensions really look like, to show you the differences between the two. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into it. And before we do, though, I do want to make sure and share a word from our sponsor. Onebyonesoft has sponsored the channel. It's a channel sponsor here. None of these products were provided, and this isn't a sponsor video from Apple or any other content except for our channel sponsor. So before we jump into that big reveal, let's go ahead and hear that word from our sponsors. Onebyonesoft.com is a myriad of different product keys that you can choose from. You can do Windows 10, 11, Windows 360 for Mac, you name it. With that said, I needed to have the ability to redline and also edit my Word docs here from Microsoft 360. So I partnered with the folks at Onebyonesoft to get that accomplished. The best part about it is that their prices are way better. Oh, I did it prematurely, dang it. I thought that was it. Anyway, if you guys want a key to success and a key that is very affordable, please, down below in the links in the description, you can check out a reasonable Windows 10, Windows 11 key, or even a key for Windows 360 that works for Mac, that works for obviously Windows. I ended up getting my own, and it was a really easy process. With that said, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the big reveal here. As you can see, I've got now cases that are upside down. I forgot to flip it, darn it. Yeah, this is what I get for a one-man job here. In the future, hopefully, I have it all sorted out. With that said here, as you can see, we've got a myriad of different cases here for the iPhone 15 Pro and the Pro Max. It looks very, very similar to the iPhone. I'm going to go ahead here and take out the case for my 14 Pro Max. This is from the folks at Carved. It's pretty cool here. Not a sponsor, but just an awesome case that I like. Carved. They make amazing live edges from burled wood and walnut. With that said, let's go ahead and show off this case for the iPhone 15 Pro Max. As you can see here, this is like a kickstand that has a silicone build here. It's got a polycarbonate core here on the inside, and then you can see that the protection over the camera module itself is actually silicone as well. Around the edges, well, three things that I've noticed here with this unit here. We've got a difference in size width. We also have a length that's a little bit bigger. The leaks suggested that they were going to have diagonally a 6.3 diagonal phone as opposed to 6.1. So as you can see that here, there is a tad bit more forehead and chin and a little bit less girth here, which I think is interesting. Having a less thick phone around the edges is probably more suitable for the average hand. Mine's a little bit bigger. I can palm a basketball. Nonetheless here, hopefully it's a little bit lighter, but I doubt that. With that said here, two more things that I've noted. I think we can confirm here that this action button here is actually indeed confirmed. Nonetheless, again, I don't have access, nor have I had my hands on a unit itself, this is all just speculation here based on the leak. Nonetheless, we still have the power button on the other side. On this side, we've got the volume rocker and then this action button. Lastly, here is the exercise or the idea here that we've got a new input. As I get closer, you can see here that the port is actually bigger than the lightning cable, which is to denote that this might actually be a USB Type-C, which is interesting. I don't think USB Type-C is much bigger, but maybe on the iPhone it is. So I'm putting my iPhone 14 Pro Max here up to show you guys. You can also notice that the speaker grill is a little bit different as it punches out here with only 4 little holes and like 6 on this side. So I think they maybe to make up for the larger I/O there. So it's kind of interesting here. We've got 3 speculations here. You've got the size, you've got the action button, and you've got the new I/O on the bottom here, which is kind of interesting. I really like that. So I think the biggest takeaway here is that we don't know anything. This hasn't really confirmed anything. We're just going to have to wait till the big release in the middle of September. There are tons of information coming out on X or on Twitter, which is something that I'm not necessarily going to go over here because I'm not a part of the rumor mill. But if you are interested, you're more than welcome to look into that. With that said here, I'm going to go into some of the other cases here from the iPhone Pro before we jump into actually placing the unit into the phone here. So before I do, I want to go ahead and see if there is anyone that has made a comment. We got 3 in chat. Appreciate you guys here. Feel free to ask me any questions that you've got if you want. Other than that, I'm going to move forward here with moving on. Moving on. Andy in chat, what's up? That was me. Okay, so with that said, let's go ahead now and move on to a couple other cases here for the iPhone 15 Pro. As you can see, I have in my hand a dummy phone that is for the iPhone 14 Pro. And we're going to go ahead and see if we can't place it inside of the iPhone 14. I did come out with a video on this shockproof case. Since then, I've received a couple more of these cases here. I've got a nice a clear case, which is a hardened polycarbonate material. And then I have a very, very thin case, which I'm going to go over, on a separate video here nonetheless. But every single one of these has very similar features in it that, certainly follows the same not necessarily confirmed, but leaked information that we've got on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. With that said, let's go ahead and show you here, since we've already reviewed the shockproof, let's show you this clear case, which I think is really, really exciting. Coming up closer here, as you can see, we've got a very similar cutout as the iPhone 14 last year. We've got a larger presence for the camera. You can see that it does have a lip here to protect, and then it's nice and crystal clear, which is great, having a kind of a natural hint or a tone to it. A lot of these cases here that are clear have like a blue tinge. This one doesn't, which is nice. Around the edge here, you can see that the punch out here is much larger than normal, which is kind of interesting. That's to denote here specifically that there might be, the I/O changing. So like the USB Type-C is going to be changing. And then around the top here, you've got the button by the volume rocker, which is different. So placing it in, my dummy phone was actually able to fit into the case. So it doesn't seem like the dimensions are much different. However, I do have a forehead and chin that are a little bit longer, so it's a little bit more difficult, but it does fit in if you apply enough pressure. So for iPhone Pro guys, I think you might be able to get away with using your old cases. But on the iPhone 14 Pro Max, you'll see here that you might not be able to. So with that said, here you've got the action button or whatever they're going to call that. You've got the larger opening here for the extra I/O, and then you have a slight difference in the chassis here, top to bottom, left to right, all the way around the case itself, which is kind of exciting. With that said here, let's go ahead and look at the last of the cases that I have in my hand. This is a thin case, which I think is kind of exciting. This is like, I think 0.5 millimeter, it's super thin, made out of this polycarbonate material here. Flipping it around and placing it into the phone. This one has a little bit more difficult time going in, which, yeah, I probably shouldn't try to force that here because the margins are much thinner. This is definitely not going to be able to fit in there. And so you can see that it's definitely a little bit larger than the, at least longer for the iPhone 14 Pro, as opposed to, the new that's coming out. As you get closer here, you can see that the camera module might be the same size, which is a possibility. I can't confirm that, but just based on this look and the injection mold of this case, it could be a very good possibility. So let's go ahead now, and before we jump into it, let's go ahead and put in the iPhone 15 Pro Max, the 14 Pro Max and the 15 Pro Max here. As you can see, it should be able to fit, hopefully, but it probably won't. With that said, I'm going to go ahead now and change the camera again. Here it is. And I'm having a hard time. I mean, it is much wider. The 14 Pro Max is much wider than the 15. I've got the stream up here. As you can see, it's not going to fit the forehead. It is much longer. So that 0.2 or 0.02, that 0.2 inch diameter, I think is definitely a big difference here. As you can see, it's not fitting there and causing stress to the case. So for the sake of the rest of the demonstration, I don't think I'm going to try to pressure it in there, which is really interesting, yet exciting. It's going to be a completely new phone here, chassis different, which if you guys invested heavily in a lot of these different cases, then unfortunately you're not going to be able to, I guess, reuse it, which is too bad. But that's typical. I mean, I wouldn't put it past Apple to change the chassis because they want to maximize on that market. With that said, guys, I think this is about it. I think we have some commonalities amongst all of these cases here that we have gone over that have been leaked. We can tell that there's a new button definitely for the iPhone 15 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max. There's also definitely a difference in size in the Pro as well as the Pro Max, especially the Pro Max. And then lastly here, it seems like on all of them, the bottom of the cases have a bigger I/O opening, which is going to result in hopefully a change. I know that one is probably the lightest of the leaks because of the privacy and technology regulations in EU requiring that companies don't take advantage of consumers with having their own unique plug-in. They need to have a ubiquitous one, which is ubiquitous within the market. So I think we can confirm that there's basically 3 changes largely to the device itself. I don't know any of the software, the internals, the CPU, GPU. There's obviously talks of the A17 chip. Nonetheless, we will be going over that as it comes out and as we get more information. With that said, Andy with Andy Vlogs. The key here is, well, check out the sponsored link down below. This is a sponsored video. The folks at Onebyonesoft have a good deal down there that you can get a discount code with if you're interested with. It does help out the channel. I do get a kickback for that. And if there isn't anyone else in the chat, I think we'll go ahead and end it there. This was also a test to see if live works. And I will be live streaming more. Maybe not here necessarily, maybe in some of the other areas, but this is what you guys have to look forward to in the future. Let me go ahead and show you what that looks like as I zoom out from my main camera here. You can see I have a whole set. This is my entire set, which I will be live streaming, hopefully with some guests, and I will be live streaming some of my favorite tech that comes out as it does. But until then, check down below in the links in the description, and I appreciate all the support, guys. Thanks so much. We will catch you next time.